The next WNBA season for the year 2025 is about to begin, and the Seattle Storm have set their opening day roster. Let's talk about that and some fun giveaways that might be coming your way at CPA.
You have three people who are selfless like that, three people who are dangerously disciplined like that, and you have a coach that also embodies all of those characteristics. You can expect good basketball.
I love interacting with the fans. I'm excited for them to cheer for us because it's hell when you come here. I even welcome people that could be skeptical because it's new.
There's going to be a standard of excellence and discipline in everything that we do.
The Pacific Northwest, this area, how passionate they are. It's culture everywhere, but it's great culture here. That's what I want to be a part of, to compete for a championship. That's everybody's goal. And I think it's just how we go about things and habits that we create. I want to be around winners that'll help us get closer to that.
And that's what the fans can expect. And we're going to have some fun.
Welcome to another episode of Tempestade Talk, keeping a local eye on the Seattle Storm. My name is Roberta F. Ayala. I am the founder of Black Rosie Media and your co-host here. But the local part of Tempestade Talk and the Tempestade part of Tempestade Talk is, of course, Roberta Rodrigues. I'm going to give you a moment to just, shout yourself out. Roberta, what do you do? Where you from? What you got cooking?
Well, it's just so exciting to be here talking Seattle Storm, especially when we're just, 3 days away from the first game of the season. It seems like it was ages ago since we saw WNBA regular season action or just any official game action. I am so excited. I love that the Seattle Storm is going to start the year with a rivalry game. Unfortunately, I am going to miss that game because I have a bat mitzvah that was scheduled a long time ago, but I'm going to catch up on everything and know everything for our next conversation. I will be covering the Seattle Storm with Erica here at Tempestade Talk. I have my own outlet, Beta Basket, both in Portuguese and English, and I also cover women's basketball for Forbes. So doing a little bit of everything in addition to my day job. Us people who love women's sports are just kind of crazy. It's almost like clinical cases. Someone should study us. But it's fun. It makes me happy. And I'm here talking to all of you about this team that I am very excited about. How about you, Erica?
I'm great. I am also maybe a little bit distracted in this very moment because I kept the sound on for my TV in the other room. Because for those who may know, I also cover women's hockey, and that game was in overtime right before we started our live. And I'm pretty sure it sounds like the Minnesota team won. So they will advance to the playoffs. But yeah, so a little distracted there, but I cover women's hockey, women's basketball, the MNHL, international hockey, and Black Rosie Media will once again be accredited for an Olympics. We're going to Milano Cortina. And let's just say, if we thought it was great having you, Roberta, and some other people contribute remotely, I'm just going to put it out there that we have some plans to level up for Milano Cortina. So more of that coming. I know you see I got my boss suit it's a quarter blazer. I love this. And I love this this dress that I actually bought while I was in Paris. But had to get this money, trying to make money moves out here. So we're excited for that. But let's get to what we came to talk about. And I mean, obviously, the biggest topic is Funko. No, I'm just kidding.
How is it not? How is it not? It is the most important thing.
These are adorable. And I'm just kidding. It's obviously not the biggest news, but these are adorable. We've got one for Lauren Jackson. We've got one for Doppler. We'll talk about that. No, I joke, I kid. As we said, not only is the season upon us, but also we have an opening day roster. So I'm going to pull that up, Roberta. Let's go through it. Are we
Let's go through
surprised?
it.
What are the standouts here for you? If we look at the numbers, it's 4, 4, and 3. So if my math is right, that is 11, not 12 players.
Yeah, that's 11, which is what Alisa had been saying. In every media availability, the team was looking to start with 11 players, 11 players, and we have seen that that's quite normal for teams that, especially contenders that have those high-profile players who make more money. They prefer to invest in in the big names and have an 11 player roster to become a contender. Um,
Eagles bring their 92. Hooty hoo! Let's go. We're glad you found us too. And Daniel always coming through. We appreciate it much. We are glad you found us. Yes, we are again keeping a local eye on the Seattle Storm here at Tempestade Talk. And for those who don't know, Tempestade is the Portuguese word for storm. All right, but you were saying that this is what we were expecting. 11 players to start, especially given some of the bigger ticket, so to speak, players salary. We also know that they have to absorb Katie Lou Samuelson's salary. She is listed here, which is interesting. So I mean, well, it goes back to what we talked about. Are we expecting last episode, I should say, are we expecting her to play this season? No. However, can her contract be suspended? Also, no.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of a pickle for the Seattle Storm. Hi, money. Because they can't let Katie Lou Samuelson go, even though she got injured. But she got injured during training camp, which was not the same situation of Jordan Horston and Nika Mule, who got injured. Jordan during Athletes Unlimited and Nika Mule during the European basketball season, actually in a game against Gabby Williams. So that was it was just that day. It was really bad because she had just played. She was playing so well, and then she torn her ACL. So that was unfortunate. But the Storm was able to assemble this team. We see similar faces. We see new faces. And just talking in terms of a long-term timeline, a completely different new team. The only player we see there who was part of the team's last championship is Azzy Magbegor. And when Azzy played in 2020, the last championship year for the Storm, she was a rookie. Neko Gumake was part of the Los Angeles Sparks.
Well, AC was on that team too, right?
Oh yeah, but that stayed through.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. That stayed through the whole process. Yeah, AC. Yeah. That has been part of all of the changes that the franchise has gone through since 2020, which included Sue Bird's retirement, Brianna Stewart leaving, and now Jewel Lloyd. So the Storm lost their big three that had been kicking for since 2016. That's when Stewie was drafted, and then just 2 years later, the Storm won their third franchise championship. Now we have a roster with Neko Gumake and Skylar Diggins, who were franchise names for other teams. Neko was with the Los Angeles Sparks. She won a championship in that amazing Candace Parker team. Skylar Diggins had stints with the Phoenix Mercury, with the Detroit Tulsa Shock, or Dallas Wings. It has changed so many times.
Technically, both, I think, right? Because she played for Dallas, because Tulsa, where I live, actually, now they are now the Dallas Wings. So I think she played for Dallas for a little bit.
Yeah, she played for Dallas. Gabby Williams has been always in and out. Unfortunately, she got injured, and then there were commitments with the national team. So for the Olympics, she decided to dedicate time to the French national team, and she didn't play last season. She got here halfway through the season. it's going to be the first time that we're going to have a full season, hopefully healthy Gabby Williams. From what we have seen, from Gabby Williams playing after injury and just half a season in the WNBA, I think we can expect big things from her. I do think it's going to be a big breakout season for Gabby. I don't know if I put her in my DPOI prediction for defensive player. Was that
I think you said either
was
Gabby
one
or
of them?
Ezzy.
Yeah.
I think
So I
we fluctuated between Gabby, Ezzy, and NECA as
yeah.
potential candidates.
Yeah, so she has potential to be DPOI, but definitely all defensive team. We have seen what she can do. Forever ingrained in my brain that like interception.
You love
From
that.
her. I love that.
We
I'm
gotta put that in
obsessed.
the next
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was so good because that actually got the team. It was the defensive stop that the team needed to win.
Yeah.
So this is a very exciting team. It's a good mix. It's more veteran heavy, that's for sure. And that indicates a team that is going for the ship, that is going
Yep.
for the ring. So that's their intention. They want to win now and build into the future. And that's where Dominic Malonga comes in. That's where Ezzy McBagor continues. And they can build onto that.
Yeah.
We talked about Skylar Diggins. She's going to be supported by Erica Wheeler, who is going to be the backup PG. And this team just has so many interesting pieces, so many players who can do so many things. I feel like that's the first time that I see modern basketball Seattle Storm, where you might not see, just like the consistent positions, but you have pieces that if you put them together, if you put them for their best ability, it's going to be really, really dangerous because it's a good team. It's a really good team.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We got Eagles Brothers saying that Ezzy defensive player of the year for sure. Gabby a dark horse though for that award. I like what you said. I mean, definitely a front runner for all defensive first team. And actually, speaking of Tulip's comment, hey, good to see you. Love that you joined us on Tempestade Talk. For those who don't know, Black Rosie Media also has a podcast dedicated to the New York Liberty. That is Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. We usually record and go live with Brian Florentin on Monday. So we had that earlier this week. And then Roberta and I hop on the mics on Wednesday. But if you checked out the CBS hit, we do have something for CBS where myself, Jack Maloney, and Isabel Gonzalez, we all make our predictions. And actually, Ezzy is my lock for prediction, preseason list, defensive player of the year. You'll have to check that out at cbssports.com to see who else I have on the list. But we appreciate y'all coming on here. Moni did confirm, yes, exactly, Tulsa. So she played, and I asked Skylar, remember, I asked her at exit interviews about Tulsa, and she was like, you stand up. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Tulsa was a lot different back then than it is now. I mean, I've only been here, this is my third year right now actively, and it's a lot different. So I can only imagine. But we appreciate y'all coming through here. And feel free to drop any questions or comments that you have in the chat. Usually we go by quarters. So first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. We're going to keep it pretty loose for this episode. But if we don't get to your questions.
Chilling.
Exactly. We're chilling. We're staying hydrated. But drop your questions and comments and we'll get to them. If not throughout the show, definitely towards the end of the show. But yes, I think defense is going to be a key factor here. But as we also see in the comments, this is something that we have talked about, Roberta, not just the ACL injuries, because we had questions as to what gaps Katie Lou Samuelson could potentially fill, but also the shooting issue. Now, I will say that Gabby Williams, I agree with you about Gabby Williams because you and I got to talk while I was in Paris, bought this dress, as I already mentioned, but I was in Paris, I was at the Olympics, and Gabby's game looked so freaking
So
good.
good. Hmm.
Good grief, she looked good in the Olympics. And of course, we
Yeah.
know if she had just curled her toe a little bit more,
Oh,
oh man,
oh my
I know.
God.
Yes, yes. That was heartbreaking. I think Gabby handled that with a lot of grace immediately following.
Yeah.
There were so many great games there. But I do think that comparative perhaps to other teams where you have a walking bucket in very specific places, I think this is a kind of prove it team offensively.
Mm.
It's not that they don't
Hmm.
have it, but they definitely have to organize their offense and make sure that they're setting up their scores. You know, um, so Tulip saying I have them in the 4 to 7 range. Is that in the
Ooh,
ranking?
the ranking. Ah,
That's a swing there. That is a swing for
yeah.
sure. Moni saying Skylar and Gabby can score at will. The ball will be distributed well. Also to Neka, Ezzy, and Dom. Yeah, can't forget Dominique Malunga,
Yeah.
who we've talked about the versatility there. And I think that I know not to make it all about the New York Liberty, which is a got to get up
Yes, you do.
yeah, we say that a lot because of someone who contributes there, but about the Mystics, but not to make it about the New York Liberty. But I want to go to a team like New York. You've got John Jonquel Jones, Brianna
Yeah.
Stewart. Those are players that can you don't want them to, but they can play most every position. Now, maybe not at an elite, MVP level, but they can bring the ball up. I was talking with Brian earlier in the week about how we're starting to see Jonquel Jones take Tina Charles off the dribble
Oof.
at the arc. Like she was there, they were 5 out offensively. Tina's playing tight defense, and she dribbles past her from the
Yep.
arc. You see what I'm saying? So why am I bringing up the New York Liberty? Because NECA, Ezzy, and Dom, they are going to play a facilitation role.
Yeah.
I do
Mhm.
think that they are, other than Skylar, of course, and Gabby. But if you don't have those, 5, any combination of those 5, because I think we'll get to this, but what is the starting 5 going to be for this team? Is it this
Very
little
curious.
cluster here? Skylar, Gabby, NECA, Ezzy, and Dom? I
Ooh.
don't know. Does AC pop in there? I don't know. But what I want to say here is that I do think that what we'll see offensively, and I think what behooves this team, especially early, is to feed the perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
feed the paint, and work.
Yep.
Some teams want to go 5 out. I almost think you have to get touches in the paint or get your bigs touches early in the shot clock, and then see how the defense opens up
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I agree. And there are so many options that the Storm can go with. We're talking about they're facing the Phoenix Mercury. My dog decided to start barking. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're dog
Uh,
friendly here.
yeah. So they have lots of options. I think that for a team that's going to play against Satu Sabali,
Looking ghost
uh,
popping up.
yeah, it's going to. I am starting to see and to accept what you and Moni have been saying about Dom being a starter.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm getting convinced. And I
Ooh.
think that especially against the Phoenix Mercury for
Mm.
opening night, I think there could be a really good lineup of Skylar, Gabby, Dom, Ezzy, Dom, and NECA. That is a really good team, and that's what I'm talking about. The modern basketball where you have a point guard and then it goes straight to I think Gabby will be a small forward, something like that,
Mm-mm.
and then you have Dom who can be a center, power forward, and shoot from the perimeter. You have Neka and Eze who can also do that. So and that, I think that could be a good opening night roster. But I still think it's going to be Alicia Clark. I was going to say Caitlin Clark.
Wrong Clark, wrong Clark.
Wrong Clark. It's going to be Alicia Clark. I think that she brings that depth that the Storm needs from the shooting, from outside. I think that, and Noel Quinn talked about that, how the Storm struggled with shooting last year. And I think that they're still going to struggle a little bit just because, Jewel Lloyd didn't do too well on her field goals in 2024. We have Lexi Brown this year, who is a shooter, but I still think she has something to prove in this league. We can't tell that she is that shooting guard that the team needs. And then we're also talking about defense. When you look at that team, and just think about the arms opening in front of you as you're driving through the lane, I would just be like, Coach, I'm out. Like, just take me out.
I'm good. We're good.
I'm good. Yeah, you see, you get it, and you see, like, you get Skylar and Gabby, who are like smaller on the team, but they're pure muscle. And then you get Dom, Neka, and Ezzy, who are tall and they have like big wing. Their wingspans are so big. I will be like, nope, no, thank you.
Yeah,
you will.
No, it's definitely tough. I see that there's a comment about AC and her contract. I always love to go to her hoop stats.
I love that. Yeah.
Their salary cap sheet is extremely helpful. So AC is a UFA next year. I mean, she's at 185. So, that's a lot of money, I will say, for someone to be
It is a lot of money.
Someone to be coming off the bench. So I'm not saying that should be the differentiator for Dom, but you have to get a lot from AC. So this is her contract, just so y'all can see. I'll make it a little larger here, but Alicia Clark, and you told us on the last episode, that she is expecting to play a little bit of a different role than she has, certainly with Las Vegas. And, I don't know what exactly that looks like or what, AC or the coaching staff has in mind. Moni's in our Slack channel. So we were talking about this back and forth because the roster made official today by the Seattle Storm. I still think if you have Dominique Malunga, or let me rephrase, if you have the number 2 pick in the draft, you start your number 2 pick. Now, whether they remain a starter, but they have to start at some point. So I guess the question is, does Dom start immediately? Does Dom come off of the bench and then start later? But I don't think that if you have the number 2 pick, like I cover the Seattle Kraken in hockey, and sometimes you'll have a top 5 pick and the development is much different in the NHL or the NHL than it is in the WNBA. I mean, you have players that were drafted, right, who have been waived. They're not on the roster. We have players that have been a top 5 pick, mostly to Indiana, Dallas, or what's the other team I always like to smash? Indiana and Dallas are pretty much the two. But, Indiana and Dallas have multiple players in the last 5 to 7 years that were drafted as their first round pick, sometimes multiple first round picks that are either not in the league anymore or are fighting for their lives to get playing and have bounced around. So when you have a player like Malunga that you drafted at 2 overall, I think you got to go with them, right?
That's where I have like a conflict with, because yes, I want to see Malunga being played in the WNBA, and I'm just saying, like, being a starter, and I
185. I didn't realize, y'all. I'm just catching up on y'all's comments. I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, yeah.
Donovan also saying, but I low key think she is retiring after
Mm,
this season.
I don't know. I think she still has like a couple of years ahead of her.
We'll see. We'll see.
Uh, so yeah, you do want your number two pick to start. My concern is Malonga's age. Uh,
Mm,
that's my concern. Just she has experience as a pro. My only concern is the translation of the FIBA to the immediate FIBA to WNBA play style, and that's not to the detriment of FIBA playing. Um, to the FIBA basketball style, but just the adaptation period that
right,
everyone goes through. So
right,
I think that, and she took a little longer to get to training camp. So there's also that. My concern is more regarding setting her up for success rather than is she worthy of a starting position. So that's where I'm at. That's why I go back and forth into, do I think Malonga should be a starter from day one? That's where I am a little hesitant, not because of I think she's not able to do that, but because I'm not sure that she would be set up for success.
yeah,
But I do think that as she progresses, depending on the kind of role that Noelle Quinn and her coaching staff give her, I see her taking that starting position. And depending on how they want to do they want to go full on modern basketball, or do you want to bring in a shooting guard? Then there's
right.
going to be a very hard choice to be
That's
made, which is, do we start Malonga or do we start Ezzy Magbegor?
true.
Um,
Mm.
because
And we've
then,
talked about that. We've talked about that.
yeah,
I do think it'll be healthy competition. I do think it will be great for both of them. And I think you're right, what you're alluding to. And we don't get that answer this season. I think we know that,
yeah,
right? The shooting
hmm
guard position is eh, eh. I,
yep,
I mean, we don't even really know if it exists. That's
yeah,
we'll just
yeah,
pretend. We'll just I like how you're saying modern or positionless, right? We'll
yeah.
we'll 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 say that Seattle this year is deciding to be positionless at the 2, just like Minnesota decided to be positionless at the 5. But who am
It's
I? Who am I? I mean, who am I to say anything? Because they got to the finals, and according
yeah.
to Cheryl Reeve, were robbed of a title. So without a true 5,
Man,
we
those
were
press conferences were
Renee,
so
Brian and
fun.
I were talking, and we were like, was it you and I, or was it Brian and I? And I was like, wait, who's the 5 for Minnesota? And then I was like,
We were
wait,
talking, yeah,
that
in the
was
last
us, right?
episode of
And I
Tempestade to
was like,
talk, yeah.
wait, how did I
We're
not
like,
put
is it
that in there?
Alana Smith? Can't be Alana Smith.
That's insane. She's not even a center. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so wild. But
yeah.
it looks like the chat agrees with you that Dom is a little raw, might take some time. I will see that. I have to check myself every once in a while, because if I was all about, Caitlin Clark will have her welcome to the W moment, then Dominique Malunga will as well. I guess the conversation that I still think is worthwhile is, just because Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, whoever else
Yeah,
is going to have a tough transition, I don't know that that means that you don't start them, because wouldn't we rather
yeah,
get through that period? That
mhm,
being said, they don't need Dominique Malunga to start,
yeah,
because they have Ezzy,
yeah,
they have NECA, they have options, they have Gabby, right? They have
mhm,
players that, and they could put AC there, right? I don't think it's Lexi that starts. I don't think it's Erica Wheeler that starts. So yeah, I guess it's a hurry up or a hurry up and wait. We just have to wait and see.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that the age does play a factor for me. She's 19 years old.
Hmm.
That's not something that we see often in the W. We saw as he was drafted at 19, um, Jade Melbin,
Mm.
Damiris Dantas was drafted at 19, and those players all waited to come here, but they were not drafted at 2. Also, there's
Right.
that
Exactly.
difference.
Right.
But I do think, like, you see, Kaylin Clark, Cam Brink, Andrew Reese, Camila Cardozo, they did get to the league at 20 plus years old.
Yeah.
So I do think that does bring some sort of difference in terms of maturity. Uh, Dom has some advantages for playing internationally, for having the international basketball.
Mhm.
But for every, you may have a lot of experience as an accountant in at Microsoft. If you become an accountant at Apple, it is going to be a transition.
That's
So,
true.
and there is an adapting. That's what I'm thinking about, the adapting period. That's where my mind's at. It's
That's
not about which basketball style is better, or if a FIBA player can or cannot adapt to the WNBA. I mean, we have Gabby Williams to prove that yes, it is very much possible. It's about a transition for a very young player who is coming. I mean, she was in Europe, came here for the draft, went back to Europe, came back here, landed in Seattle, had a game, media day, and training camp, everything. It's a lot for a 19-year
That's true.
old. So
That's true.
that's what I'm thinking.
That's
We
true.
do hear one thing that we have been hearing a lot is how the coaching staff is very sensitive to the players' development needs. And I think we didn't really get that clip for this episode, but there was a clip of Lee Yuru that went around on social media of her saying that of Lee Yuru saying that if she did something wrong or something that was out of the expected for the players, she felt so heard and seen by Noel Queen and the coaching staff, because they were like, "Don't worry, take your time. You did this. NECA is going to show you around." So it was NECA is her accountability partner.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Lee Ura said that she felt it. She felt such a big difference because in other places, if she did something wrong, she would be yelled at. And then she got to Seattle, and she got that different approach.
Yeah.
And considering everything that happened in the off season, hearing that gives us even a kind of a larger perspective on what culture is for Noelle Queen and her coaching style. So players seem to be happy. I think that Dominic is being very lucky that to be drafted so young. A very young Black immigrant who
Mm.
is playing in an American league where Black international players do not always get the same chances as not only Americans but white international players. She's going to be player under, I think, the last female Black female coach, and she's going to have very strong Black examples with her both on and off the court.
Yeah.
And NECA and Ezzy and Skylar. So I think this is the best case scenario for her. And I think this team, this Seattle Storm, is a patience first team, player development team. I see that Noelle Queen has been really focused on that. So I think that Dominic, she might not start full force as a starter, but I think she might develop really well in other areas, and
I
she
love
will
it.
get there eventually. That's my
Yeah,
perspective.
I love it. And I want to get to this comment from our unofficial resident researcher, Moni. But first, I want to just switch it up a little. And for those who are joining us for the first time, or we haven't really done it as much this season, but usually we do a shoot around, or sometimes we call it halftime, depending on how we feel. But this is an opportunity to talk about things that are not specifically related to the Seattle Storm. but are women's basketball adjacent. And you mentioned you can be an accountant for Microsoft, but that doesn't mean that there won't be, I loved that. That doesn't mean that there won't be a transition when you go to be an accountant for Apple. And I loved that because it reminded me of something that I saw. I forget what the thing is called because, I'm an auntie. I don't be paying attention all the time. But there's this guy, who interviews people on the subway.
Oh, are you talking about the Asia Wilson?
And so Asia Wilson, of all people, first time I've ever seen a female athlete, a woman athlete on there. I'm not saying that there haven't been, but I've just never personally seen it. And I was like, what is this? Because, he'll pop up on my feed every once in a while. And I was like, wait a minute, there's Asia Wilson. So Asia's hot take.
I saw that.
You saw it, right? Asia's hot take, y'all. Let us know in the comments how you feel. Is that you have to have played the sport that you are reporting on to be a sports reporter.
She also added
yes.
because the reporter kind of like didn't push back. Was like, so they have to have played the sport, and then Asia said they have to at least have played some sport. And I think they mentioned like, oh, so if I played hockey, I can talk about basketball. I love that. And
we were talking about it in Slack today too.
Yeah, I think it's like I see those interviews and I'm like, is that like a bit like was that did she go to the subway and have the interview with him? Like he can't just have come across Asia Wilson in the subway.
No, they definitely
so it has to be a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit, but I do think it's an interesting conversation because even though obviously that was staged, they did all of that or they met up, I do think that Asia probably, believes that. And I think there are other athletes that believe that as well. Now, here's the thing. It's a little hard for me to be an unbiased person here because I did play college sports. And I do believe strongly that the fact that I played college softball, and I started my career in journalism covering a sport I knew very little about and that I never played myself, what I would personally do to get and to build camaraderie and trust with the athletes I was covering was to talk to them like athletes. And it's one of those, if you know kind of situations. I wasn't over here like, well, I played Division I softball at Elon University and was captain as a sophomore. I didn't do, I was, those are all facts, but I didn't do it. But it's sometimes in how you say things. It's in the questions that you ask. At least that's how I approached it. I thought of it as if I was playing at Elon, what would I want someone to ask me about a game that played out like this? But I also did play basketball. I didn't play in college. So, the furthest I got was, my public high school. And we were not good. We were terrible. I mean, I started, but again, on a terrible team. But I worked the hardest. I worked my ass off on that team. And sometimes you can relate to in those ways. So, I've never to this day played ice hockey. I can skate, but I've never played ice hockey. Skating and playing ice hockey are not the same. Just like, you can dribble, that doesn't mean you can play basketball.
Exactly.
You can shoot a foul shot. That does not mean you are a basketball player. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know if people thought that that's how it works, but it doesn't. And I know that. I went to Elon University. We're coming up. We're on a come up. Elon softball also is in the NCAA tournament. Thank you very much. But, we're on the come up. We're a small, we're like an aspiring mid-major team.
I just love that.
We're great in tennis. Our women's tennis, women's track and field, our basketball team. Charlotte Smith is the head coach. So like we're on the come up, but we ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm also not trying to say like my Division I experience in softball was the same as Asia's at South Carolina. Like that's not.
Yeah,
But
no.
I just thought it was interesting because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people thought she was going to get smoke. And I'm just like, I mean, she said what she said. But what I also said in our Slack channel is, I mean, ain't nobody coming at her for being an author.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think that so the reason why I don't really like that whole like you have to have played the sport, the sport, I think that was used against women in
Mhm.
journalism a
Sure
lot,
was. Sure was.
especially yeah.
Yes. I'm just, I
It's
don't want
okay.
to say I'm sorry because I'm still going to interrupt you. I acknowledge that I am interrupting your thought, but I want to share that there is a fantastic documentary. If you have not watched it, not you, Roberta, but like all of you,
Hmm.
it's called Let Them Wear Towels.
Mm,
Let them wear towels. So to your point about that is the excuse that has been used to keep women out of sports. Let Them Wear Towels talks about the pioneers, the first women
yeah.
in their respective sports and on their respective beats to cover that. And it goes back to like mostly the 70s and 80s. But then
Hmm.
also I love that you're taking it there because even today in
Yeah.
2025, that's exactly what a male uh
Yeah.
air quotes, hard air quotes, dominated fields and profession is like, oh, well, who was it? What's his name? What's that fool's name? The quarterback. Oh, Cam Newton, right? He
Oh
was like,
my God,
you don't know
that
what a
was
route
like
is. Like, okay,
no.
okay.
Mm-mm.
Now he's a
No.
podcaster, bruh,
Of course, of
bruh.
course. I mean, I feel like that's
Like, do you edit your own podcast?
they
If you don't know how
all
to edit your own podcast, then don't hop on the mic. Like none of us
yeah.
do that. We don't do that.
No, like if
Anyway,
you're a sports player, you're not a journalist. Like, there's all of that uh 'cause it was used to keep women out of, sports journalism because women were not allowed to play sports. Like you don't
hello,
see the same amount
correct,
of like women. You see that there's more girls drop out of sports after before high school. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of women who have played basketball. Therefore, there's definitely going to be a lot of places that are not going to believe that women can cover
right,
women's basketball. And
right.
it's like you learn a craft. And when it comes to sports, I mean, not every dude who covers baseball has played baseball,
First of
you
all,
know?
how many men who cover women's sports have ever played sports?
Oh, nope. Mm-mm. I mean, how many? Anyways, so
Yeah, and like, what's the cutoff? Is it college? Is it high school? Is it the JCC or the YMCA?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how much sports is enough? And she kind of like tongue in cheek said, like, you got to sweat a little, which I thought was hilarious.
yeah,
But I don't know. I just wanted to
yeah,
bring that up because I thought it was an interesting conversation.
yeah,
I definitely
yeah,
wasn't worked up or anything. I just thought it was interesting. I was like, okay, Asia, like, do you boo? I still read your book, so you should still read my articles, even though I never played
yeah.
basketball.
Yeah, and I think that especially since there are women's basketball, I wouldn't say up and coming anymore, but it's not on the rise. It's like already there and thriving.
Mhm.
But in terms of media, there are lots of new outlets and new reporters who have never cared about women's basketball, but they want to like surf
Hello.
on the hype, and they do make stupid questions. They
Oh,
do make stupid questions, and players can tell the difference. So you see Asia, she gets lots of questions from Nakayas, and
mhm.
Nakayas is amazing at basketball
Yes.
questions. Like
Yes.
I hear his questions and I'm like, how did you see that? So
Yeah.
so you see him making those questions and players, uh, but also like players sometimes want to dictate what questions journalists are making. And I think that this is something that uh, WNBA PR teams need to go over with their
Yes.
players, because you saw a
Yes.
situation last year with, I think, Tanisha Wright, the coach, where she was extremely rude to journalists for making a question. Like, if your team shoots badly that night, you have to talk about it.
It's valid.
If you make like awful defensive errors, you have to talk about it. It's basketball. Like, we all have performance reviews at work. We all have like feedback. So if your team lost, if you had a bad shooting night, you can say your piece, but a journalist is also working and just doing their jobs.
Right.
Like, I think that there has been a lot of troll and a lot of ill-intended people in the women's sports and women's basketball media environment. So players do tend to kind of like take a step back and be a little not trusting at first. But I think that, the same way that, maybe the journalists didn't play basketball, players didn't go to journalism school, and they don't know that, like, a person who covers the Seattle Storm has to be impartial, or it's a fan blog.
Which then they also don't want. So it's like, it's
exactly.
it's an interesting conversation. I think it's definitely, there's more there. I also know that at least last year, the WNBA tried to coordinate calls with national media, and I was on some of those calls. I also know the WNBPA has been doing things to try and forge a better working relationship between players and media and agents, and just a better understanding. I think it's what I will say, because I've participated in a lot of these in the last 2 seasons leading up to this season, I should say. I think the idea is a good one, and there is a way to make those kinds of things work. I don't think the formatting has been the best yet. So to be continued.
I have lots of thoughts about this because I worked in PR in the league. So
you did, and that's how we officially met in person. In Everett, we talked about that. But I just wanted to do a little shoot around. We haven't done a shoot around in a while, and I mean,
I liked it.
It was out of order. It should have been halftime, but y'all understand. Y'all get the point. The point is, we're taking a step back, but let's dive deeper. We've already alluded to who we think is going to be starting 5, but let's take a look at what the schedule will be for this Seattle Storm team. Now, you've already mentioned it. First team up is Phoenix. And so then you have Dallas, Phoenix again, and the Vegas Aces are coming in to Climate Pledge Arena on Sunday, May 25th. So I do think that this is a very interesting first 4. We'll go to 5 just to like round it out, because also it's an interesting first 5 teams, including the Minnesota Lynx, who of course were in the WNBA finals. We already talked about Cheryl Reeve and how she got all uptight last season. Sorry to you, Cheryl. I don't know what to say. I ain't touching that, because y'all know I'm from New York. So oh well, it's too sad. So sad, too bad. Okay, you talked a little about Phoenix, so let's go to Dallas. This is a Dallas Wings team that I think is shoring up their backcourt, right? They are a Dallas team that has a player that is likely going to be Rookie of the Year in Paige Beckers. Still is going to be very much learning the league. We saw, just like Sonia Citron, she got the wind knocked out of her in these preseason games. That's going to be real. But I
just love those welcome to the league moments.
I know. I think that this game against Dallas early is an opportunity to see how well Noelle Quinn has prepared her team. And I said I was going to come back to this comment that Moni posted talking about Lexi on her podcast, and that Coach Quinn had a PowerPoint presentation. Do we still call it, do people still make literal PowerPoint presentations, or is it like Canva or something? I don't know. I haven't used actual PowerPoint in forever. Anyway, that's not the point. The presentation, PowerPoint or otherwise, had everyone's roles and jobs as a team, and it was all about holding each other accountable, excuse me. And you were talking about this a little bit earlier, Roberta, and that the player development is a huge emphasis. Now, that's where I think we're going to see perhaps how well this team is truly prepared and how well they're locked into their roles, because at least on paper, I do believe that this is a Seattle Storm opening day roster that should be able to beat a Dallas Wings opening day roster.
I agree, especially I think that chemistry plays a big role in how a team does on opening night. The Storm has had the opportunity to, play together last year, and we have a Dallas Wings that has a rookie as their point guard, and then they have lots of new pieces. They added Dejounte Carrington, Melissa Smith, and Natasha Howard also. So they have lots of new pieces. I feel similarly about the Dallas Wings as I feel for the Indiana Fever. I think that those are great teams who are going to need some just like oiling the machine. I
Yep.
think that's part of the game. We saw, for me, the best example, and again, not to make it about the New York Liberty, but the New York Liberty is the best example for it. They did really well in the first year, and then the second year they got the job done. I feel like the Las Vegas Aces is also going to. I have the Las Vegas Aces at the 3 spot because they do have new pieces, but they have Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson is a big differentiator. And then you have the point guard, you have Jackie Young, and you have the same coach. So I think they have.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but it is brutal.
Yeah. So I think that Dallas and the Indiana Fever are on the same spot. I feel like the Connecticut Sun is going to it's going to be vibes.
Vibes is probably the best way to put it. I will say, like, they definitely cleaned up some things from Seattle to
Oh my God, that game against the Liberty. I was like, what's happening? Is Stewie about to dress up for the game?
like, I got this, yo. I got this. I mean, it's preseason again. The New York Liberty. We talked about this with Brian, but the New York Liberty got their butts handed to them in their first preseason game last year. And I mean, we saw what happened at the last game of the season in the playoffs, in the finals. So that's all I have to say about that. I think it looks like the chat is, and Tulip, I did not miss your comments about R&B, and I did see your Erykah Badu comment, to which I immediately thought, what good do your words do if they can't understand you? Don't go talking that Badu. I sometimes randomly burst out in song in all of my podcasts. So if that's your vibe,
good.
Make sure you follow me.
Who doesn't like it? Good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Because it's not going to change.
It's not going to change. I am who I am.
Let's go.
Thank you. Also, Moni, I knew those were her words. I just also thought it was hilarious because I'm like, wait a minute, do we still do PowerPoint? I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
So. And like I said, I'm an auntie, so if I don't do PowerPoint, I don't know who else does. But
oh man, I do.
I think it's an interesting start. What I was saying before I broke out into song is that the chat seems to have mixed thoughts about if this is a layup start, if it's a difficult start in the first 5 games. I think, honestly, I like the variety because I think it's a good test, again, to what you were saying and what I had said. It's a good test to see if the Seattle Storm are past their easy bake oven. Because, we've had this, you and I have had this conversation before. I called the 23 New York Liberty easy bake oven chemistry, right? They were, which actually it tracks because baking is chemistry. Anyway, the point is, I just nerded out a
I
little
love
bit. I was
that.
like, actually, that
I
really
love that.
um, yeah, it's not easy bake oven. We're not making a microwave sponge cake anymore. This is an opportunity for the Seattle Storm to show what they learned, to have their leaders in place. And the thing I love about this PowerPoint is that it was doing what we, Roberta, have been asking the Seattle Storm to do.
Oh
Is
my
to
God,
set
yes.
roles and expectations. And
Exactly.
and so if that is working, I think we find out. I'm going to pull up the schedule again. I think we find out in these first 5 games because
I agree.
yes, there are some games that this Seattle Storm team on paper should win. And
I agree.
and
Wholeheartedly agree.
as Skylar Diggins told us last year, if you don't show up, you're going to get effed up. I mean, I basically that's what she said. That is not a direct quote, but that's what she said.
Yeah. And we do know that Skylar Diggins is an accountability person. We saw that.
Well, that's right.
Oh, where are you?
Yeah, we're international. I forget.
Tulip,
Tell
where
us
are
again
you?
in the chat because I know you told Brian and I. Is it London? London, right? I think it's
London.
London because then Brian told a story how he was in London. Okay.
I was
So
going to attempt a British accent, but I'm really bad at it.
I'm so bad at. I don't think I'm bad at all accents, but I know I cannot do a British accent.
All I know is like schedule because of the crown, and the queen always says my schedule.
Schedule. Yeah,
Schedule.
I can't even do that.
Yeah.
London. Okay, we're gonna stop the terrible accent.
Sorry, Tulip.
Yeah, sorry. We are actors. We are not.
Nope. Oh my God.
Like I don't even know. Also, like I don't know. I'm sure I am literally by definition ignorant to the difference between accents in the UK, right? I know
I
that
know
they
the
exist,
difference.
but like I can tell the difference between a Bronx and a Queens and a Staten Island. And I could tell the difference between all those accents, but that's where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? Like all I know is I think of the movie Spice Worlds. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I don't care what anyone says. Sometimes you have to respect a cult classic. Is it the best movie ever made? Absolutely not. Does it make my heart sing? Yes, it does. But Scary Spice was like something about doesn't he know that I'm from Leeds or something like that? And I was like, oh, her accent is different. Like that's how I was able to get the concept that there were like different accents within like a regional area. So
I love British shows. So like The Crown has really taught me the difference.
I couldn't finish the series though because once they started, first of all, they did such a good job, like casting and wardrobe.
Princess Diana.
Okay, I know the casting is so crazy. I was like, you know what? My younger self isn't ready for this. I need to be mentally and emotionally prepared to watch that. Like, I don't know. Like, I just had a love for Princess Diana. Like I just loved what she stood for. And also that she was trying to be who she was, or that's my interpretation, while also under all of that. Like, anyway, that's a whole other thing. This is the podcast about the Seattle Storm.
I think that we would definitely see Princess Diana in some WNBA games. I'll just say that. Right? I hope we see Meghan Markle during a Los Angeles Sparks game. What I would just say is that like for the last episode of The Crown, you do need to be emotionally prepared. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in Netflix finales. It's so beautiful. And another show that I watched that also helps me, that helped me with the different British accents, is The Traitors UK.
Oh,
have you watched The Traitors?
I haven't.
It's so good.
How does one say Derbyshire? I don't know where or why that just came. I don't even know where that is. But that's what popped into my brain. I don't know. This is a weird time. We're
Yeah.
gonna move back. We're gonna go back to what we
Wait,
know.
who is British in the WNBA? Tammy Faganbale.
Yeah. Oh, so where is she now? With
Valkyries.
yes, thank you.
Valkyries or Valkyries.
Mhm.
And I think that Pancake's mom in Las Vegas Aces. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Elizabeth Williams.
Yeah, Elizabeth
Yes,
Williams.
yes.
I think
Chicago.
Meg Gustafson. I think she plays for the UK, and I know that
She played for Spain.
Carly.
She played for España.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
Carly Samuelson. Carly Samuelson plays for Team GB.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't see lots of
Spanish.
British in the WNBA, huh? More Australian
No,
mate.
not
Australian mate.
good day.
This is hard.
Like
so the Seattle Storm.
I couldn't do a Brazilian accent if I tried.
How do you say Seattle Storm in London British? Seattle. I'm not because Tulip's gonna come at me again. Can't. In Brazilian accent, it is Seattle Storm. Seattle Storm. WNBA.
Yes, football. So yeah, our people, mostly Roberta's people, would say football with a U.
Football.
We pronounce
F-U-T-E.
Seattle. Yeah, see? Unlike the Americans, there's no T.
Seattle.
Seattle. Football. Yes.
Football. Yeah.
Football. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, basketball.
Yeah, I could not do I just like to say Portuguese words and try to pronounce them as close as I can get. But
pick and roll, we say pick and roll. Pick and roll in Portuguese. And my day job is like I translate games from Portuguese to English. So my team is Brazilian. Baloncesta is Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So my team is Brazilian people, but the company is Japanese, and here we're located in Redmond. So I get to my little cubicle and I see my Brazilian coworker and I go, "Good morning." And they're like, "Wait, it's bom dia for you." And yesterday I called my mom and I started like talking to her and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm speaking in English."
That's hilarious. Yeah, code switching is real. We went on quite a journey just now. We went all around the world.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's why. And listen, this is a little insider for y'all, but we definitely had a conversation on what we were going to name this podcast. And we went through a lot of different, there's literally like a list that exists. I think we even shared some of them in Slack, but I love that we landed on Tempestade talk because the whole point of me creating Black Rosie Media is to provide and empower voices that are overlooked in sports media. And another thing, and this might be, I thought about it a few times while we were recording today, but I really want us to do a special episode really breaking down some of these things, including how players who speak multiple languages and perhaps English is not their first language, how they are perceived. I'm not going to name the person because I haven't had a conversation with them yet, and I do respect this person. But someone, for example, they heard Dominique Molonga speak probably to Holly Rowe, right? Because that's who they speak to first on the broadcast. And their comment was something like, "Oh, you know, she speaks really great English." And I'm just like, okay, I can make space for the fact that people don't mean that perhaps as I hear it and perceive it. And I am someone who my first and quite honestly only language is English. That being said, that's not the case for some of my family members. And so if someone is speaking in an accent, that doesn't mean that their English is quote unquote bad or that they speak poor English. You know, like sometimes people who speak other languages, especially if they speak multiple languages, they actually grammatically speak better English than I do, because that's how they learn it. They learn proper quote
Yeah.
unquote English. Grammatically, I should say, I don't want to say proper.
Yeah.
They learn grammatically correct, right? Like when you
Yeah.
learn Spanish or Portuguese, you're learning it grammatically correct. You're not learning it
Yeah.
how people speak it casually.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's another aside.
Yeah.
Dominique
Yeah.
Malanga, who also is it I'm gonna forget.
I think Nigeria. Oh,
No,
Cameroon.
it's Cameroon, right? It's Cameroon.
Cameroon. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Cameroon.
knew. I was like, I know it starts with a C. I was like, I think it's
Cameroon.
Cameroon. So
Yeah. Yeah.
ancestry, and it's from also
Hmm.
the African continent. And so I think that,
Yeah.
and I love that we create space at Black Rosie Media to
Yeah.
create that. So even though we were doing terrible English accents, and we do apologize, Tulip,
Yeah.
hopefully you know that was all in fun,
Yeah.
not to make, and if we stepped
Oh
out,
my God. No. That's.
let us
Yeah.
know. Because
Yeah.
regardless of the intent, let us know.
Yeah.
We can take it, and we don't want to be
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's not our
Yeah.
vibe.
And if I can add, yeah, if I can, I am very great. I've already told you, Erica, that I'm very grateful that you opened up this space for melanated people. There really isn't a lot of space in the league, especially in journalism. And you know how much I push back on this, and I speak out a lot. Americans don't understand that xenophobia, like microaggressions in terms of xenophobia, are like, they do that a lot. And during the Olympics, my blood boiled so many times, because you see people who are respected in media just making some really bad comments about, and this, so I experienced, and I say that because it has experienced to me in the WNBA environment, people like singling out the fact that English is not my first language in front of so many people. And that kind of like crushes because you realize this is something that people are paying attention to. It's already something that you're like unconsciously insecure about, and it becomes like, when what you write is seen with much more scrutiny than when American people write. So I am really grateful for this space, and both for understanding the practical, like the speaking, and even the thought process. There were moments when I was using wrong words to express something, and you, let's say, called me out, but you called me out, but in a way that helped me understand, and I never used that again, because you understand the nuances, and not everyone understands. So I am really grateful, and I hope more people, we have even more people from different locations here. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful that you hopped on this wild journey where we do everything from talk about xenophobia and football to, jokes aside. Thank you for that. That is the vision, and it's not always easy, as you know, to do things differently. And to stand on business while doing it. But I see you do that, and I see you learn. And, there have been times where we disagree, which is fine. And also, like you said, where it's like, okay, well, explain this to me in a different way, because I just want to make sure, because when I hear certain words together, it comes across as this.
Yeah.
We're always open to that, and we can have those conversations on our podcast. We have them outside of the podcast. So yes, exactly. Respect to all the multilingualists. I am not one. I love multilingual people. I wish that I were one. And I am a product. Part of the reason that I am not is because of how my parents and their parents were treated in the United States.
Yeah, it is true. So many people just,
So while I think I have a pretty good ear for language, I'm not fluent in. I sometimes say I'm halfway.
You have really good pronunciation for different languages, just because you're a naturally curious person and you like to respect backgrounds. We talk about names of players, Neko Gumake, and you see that Neka has been more and more using her Nigerian name, Nekaji. You see Arike being asked to be called by her name properly, and people still say that wrongly. And like,
Right.
I don't know if I said Tammy's name correctly. Damiris name, Camila Cardozo. So we all adapt our name. For a long time, I was Roberta, but like I don't see myself as Roberta. I'm Roberta. That's my name. And go like just to make, like, I know you like that, Erika. Just tying back to the WNBA, we have the Valkyries. They have a very international team. They have a team. I did feel bad that Kaylee Chan was cut.
She was
But
waived. I thought it would be hard, not impossible, but hard for her to opening day roster. And that's I should have emphasized this, because you can see it in the title of this episode. Definitely opening day roster. Now with the Seattle Storm, you already addressed this. I don't think we're expecting them to really make any roster changes. Their roster's basically set. That being said, opening day rosters and the roster that a team will finish with could be different. There could be trades, obviously. There could be people who are added, things of that nature. So does Chen find her way? Maybe.
Yeah.
But it is a cold world. Not that we used her to sell shirts and tickets and then cut her. Listen.
Yeah, so the Valkyries, they have only 4 American players. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Tiffany Hayes and Monique Billings.
That's right, Billings. Yeah, that was their we talked about UFAs on and how Seattle got no one taken in the draft, and then I was like, actually, and the expansion,
actually five player, because there's also Veronica Burton, so it's still the minority.
Right. Burton made the squad, yes.
It's still the minority.
Basket. All the wave players can play. That is the speaking of that, I want to stick to this because we talked about it in Slack, and then we can start closing it down here. But Dominique Malonga and Gabby Williams
are not leaving. They are staying.
Which I think, and I do think it's interesting. I genuinely don't have a thought beyond, interesting, as in, I want to hear and think more on this. But I do find it interesting because, again, we were in Paris. Black Rosy Media was in Paris. You and I talked about this while I was in Paris. Gabby Williams and Satu Sabali both staying in the WNBA this year, but both were very vocal about prioritization. It circles back to, and I said this on Gotta Get Up on Monday, it circles back to, you had reported and said in our Slack that you wanted to ask Gabby about prioritization, and she was like, whoa, like, let me and I'm not saying that they're related. I'm also not saying that they're not, but it's interesting to me that players that were very vocal about prioritization are prioritizing the WNBA this year.
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think it has a lot to do with the power shift that we are seeing from the league and team owners to players. We're more than ever seeing players have the power and the public being on the player side. So I think that those players are staying because they are thinking of the negotiations of the CBA. There is more money coming, they are going to have, and that's like the exchange, that's the trade, you give more money, I'll stay. And Gabby Williams wrote that, like, if they give me more, if they give me more money in France, I'm going to stay in France. And honestly, yes, girl, get your bag.
Absolutely.
She did agree to be called.
Yeah, and so with Gabby, it's a little less interesting because we kind of have been having this conversation in the off season. Gabby said she never wanted to be cored.
Yeah.
She told us that she and Seattle came to an agreement that she wouldn't be cored, and then she was. So obviously something shifted, before. The last thing I'll say on this, because I do want us to have a larger conversation, and I want you and I to schedule time, and I'd love for Brian to join us if he cares to. Because Brian knows another conversation that I want to report on this season is the fact that the United States is under a regime. Yes, I chose my word very carefully there. Is under a regime that, if you want to talk about the epitome of xenophobia, so I do have questions for all athletes, including those born in the United States, because apparently, birthright citizenship is not a thing anymore. When you're an athlete that is now traveling internationally, which the WNBA is set to do, because we're not necessarily on great terms with Canada, just Canada alone, that not even the rest of the world.
My God.
What is the cost benefit of going back and forth at this particular time in the United States?
It definitely must cause a lot of anxiety to players, because coming back into the country is never a guarantee. Never a guarantee.
Brittany Griner, that's all. I mean, really, that's all I have to say.
Yep. And like, even going back and forth from Canada, you see Canadian people not being able to come in.
No.
My sister has a green card, and she has Portuguese citizenship. She's not a citizen, even though she's entitled to a citizenship. And she had to cross the border for a work trip. And we were terrified if she was going to be able to come back. And we were thinking about bringing my mom here, going through some personal stuff. We're thinking about bringing my mom here. One of the reasons why we're not doing that is because they are not letting people in, and they are treating people so.
Sorry, I just saw
Yeah, no.
Wow. Finish your thought. No, because this is important.
No,
and I'm saying right now, you at Black Rosie Media are going to come back to this. This is going to be a through line throughout the whole the whole season.
Yeah, and I'll ask the Midis if she wants to join us.
Hey, listen,
can you imagine? Like, that would be cool.
I believe it. You got all the juice. You got the pull. Anytime they want to hop on.
Yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of underlying issues. Now white people are starting to understand their racism.
Okay.
And
okay, I'm sorry. I am actively interrupting. Continue.
No, and the same way that it took a long time for white people to understand that the things that they thought was just a joke, or just like, oh, that's how things are, that those were not racism. Now Americans are going to start to realize that the small things and the small comments that they make are xenophobia. And that's on that period.
I love that you are optimistic that people in the United States that are non-melanated, because I don't use non-white to describe people, but I use non-melanated because I'm petty. Anyway, the point is, yes, I'm petty. That was a little bit of a joke, but also I truly do believe you should not describe anyone by what they're not. Describe them for who they are.
I agree.
Anyway, that's my principles. So let me practice what I preach.
Yeah.
Pale faces. I think it's hilarious and a little cute that you think that the pale faces who are of a specific descent, who are soaked in the reek of colonizer mentality, that they're actually going to draw parallels to how they have been treating Black bodies in this country since day one. Because it's just like, and so I don't think people understand when Black women are like, we're sitting this out, and like people think it's just like people trying to do a trend or whatever the F on social media. Maybe some of them are. Is it it's a way to use humor to call attention to something that is very real, and also to set a boundary. I done told y'all about all of this. And all of a sudden now people are boohoo scared about due process when we have been telling you that police officers throughout the country have been taking Indigenous women. May 5th is a day to honor and to call attention to Indigenous women who have been stolen.
It's heinous.
2020, we talked about 2020, Ezzy Magbagor and AC on the Seattle Storm team in 2020. What shirts did they wear? Every game. Say her name.
Mm-hmm.
And so the test run that this country has been doing while everyone else was like, oh, well, it's not that serious. Or what was she wearing? Or just if you just comply, or if you don't have anything to hide, then why are you running? All of those people now, all of a sudden, are realizing that as you know, I don't know if it's a poem or whatever, but like, you know, for at first they came for this group. At first,
Yeah.
we're living that.
We are living that. We are living
We've
that.
been living it.
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
the people who've been telling you consistently that this is real are tired because y'all didn't believe us then. And now it's to the point where we as a collective are desensitized to women of color saying real shit.
Yep.
Y'all don't believe us.
Yep.
So what is the point of talking now? Oh, because y'all are going to get snatched.
Yep.
It's terrible. It's bad, but y'all don't believe us anyway. So why am I going to say anything?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna come back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back.
No, it's a much, like, I feel like that's the type of conversation that we just can't mince words or feelings because they are so true and people are losing their lives every day, and they might not be losing their lives, but they're losing everything, you know. And that's a serious conversation, and it does impact the WNBA. I also think about college. Look, you know, at international players who don't have access to NIL, they get much less attention. Like, in my opinion, Camila should be much more, like, she should have much more and be much more acknowledged than she is, but that's because she's not American. And she wasn't interviewed, like, okay, I'm not going to say the name of the reporter because I also respect her, but ESPN interviewed everyone in the South Carolina team after the championship. Everyone but Camila. They only interviewed Camila when she got the most outstanding player, and that goes to show that for you to get any visibility as a non-American, you have to do something outstanding. You have to do something that's better than anything else. And that's valid for, and it's crazy. And that's it in the WNBA. You see, Stephanie Soares was drafted 4th in 2023. Where is she in the league? She's not in the league. So it's a really unfortunate. And I talk a lot about it. I think Erica, you created this safe space for us to talk. And then, thank you. And those are conversations that need to continue happening to hopefully make some change.
Where is she now? No, I don't think it was Sage Steele. Okay, let's just put it this way, y'all. If there's a women's basketball game and it's a final and a championship is being awarded, who's the first woman you hear on the microphone on the court? I think we all know. And, unless I'm wrong.
Nope, we know who it is. Yeah. Yeah, money. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, finally ESPN put the big three to present, you know. You have Shanae Ogumake, my God, Andrea Carter, and I forgot her name. Elle Duncan. They are amazing and they are so unhinged.
Yeah, they're really good.
I am here for it. I love that.
They are. Okay, before we leave, Tulip has given us a cry for help.
Woo.
This is okay. I have to be a little honest here. There's two players that I wouldn't have been surprised if they were waived, more than two, but I will say I do think Ari McDonald is one of them. The other one is Haley Jones was waived also.
Yeah, I did see that. I was a little surprised.
Yeah, and I shared a comment from my birthday twin Megan Hall, and responding to someone on Blue Sky, and what Megan's commentary was is that it's maybe more about fit other than salary,
Yeah.
because Megan, who covers the Atlanta Dream, I'm pretty sure Megan's in Atlanta, and so goes to a lot of Dream games, was saying that Haley Jones has been playing out of position for a really long time, and now with a new coaching staff was asked to be a little more flexible, and just couldn't kind of meet that expectation. With Ari McDonald, I think it's maybe a similar situation in that she was never really given an opportunity to play in her true style, and was kind of just hanging on teams. And another thing that we have to talk about is training camp is so short.
Yeah.
It's so
It
short.
is.
The only league I cover that has a shorter training camp is MNHL. That is it's like a week and a half. So I was like, how you a whole 100-year-old league and you have a shorter training camp
Yeah.
than the WNBA? Now, that being said, they do have a longer preseason. But true training camp is very, very, very short. They do about 4 to 6 games preseason. So anyway, I unfortunately, I think that given the lack of development for a player like McDonald, for a player like Jones, it's not surprising to see them waived as more talent keeps coming in, and it's not meeting the WNBA is not meeting the demand. Not really. And I think this also goes back to, it's what's also true is as we think about how the NCAA is changing, there are WNBA players, veterans in particular, that will tell you from their lived experience in college and then their lived experience as bringing rookies in as veterans, that there are certain NCAA programs that prepare you for the WNBA and some that don't.
Yeah.
And the gap between the NCAA programs and coaches, very specifically, that can prepare you for the next level versus those that are focused on NIL, focused on the transfer portal, focused on all of these things, which they have to do. I'm not saying it's easy. And the gap between coaches that can do all of those things and those who don't is massive. So you have players that are coming out and getting picked high in the draft, and they're not ready. And there's no one to get them ready because there's short training camp, minimal rosters, no developmental league. Like, you don't make an NHL team, you can play in the AHL, you can play in the ECHL, you can even play overseas, but you don't have to make your NHL team in your draft year. Most don't even come to the NHL. Just as an example, because I cover hockey, I'm actively covering hockey. That doesn't exist. That ecosystem doesn't exist in women's basketball. And unfortunately, players like McDonald, Jones, Chen, they fall victim.
Yeah, it is a big issue in the WNBA, and we have seen more and more talks about the WNBA pushing not only for bigger salaries, but roster expansion, and also not like a flexible cap sheet so like you can pay a luxury tax and you can add someone else to you, and you can like pay more than the limitation. So yeah.
This is interesting, and we've also seen some rookies kind of talk about this. EW like Elizabeth Williams, and are you talking about Sid
I think
Coulson?
it's Erica Wheeler.
Oh, that makes more sense. See, that's why I was like, let's make sure we're talking about the same people. Okay, thank you. I was because I was like EW, like E Willie. I was like, I don't know about that. I was
No,
like,
it's Erica Wheeler.
okay, oh, because I was like, I'm not sure I agree about Elizabeth Williams. Okay, Erica Wheeler. Hello, I can't even speak. Erica Wheeler. There it goes. Wheeler. I'm all about the veterans too. I'm not going to
too.
begrudge veterans. I will say, I think there's a few things going on when you talk about Sid, when you talk about Erica Wheeler. Do you want or need a rookie with no WNBA experience that's not going to get any significant minutes on your 12-player roster? Or do you take a veteran who has played in the WNBA, maybe in some All-Stars, Erica Wheeler, maybe has won some championships, Sid Coulson, and probably still won't get a lot of minutes? If these are your two choices, who are you choosing as a coach?
Proven talent. We're talking about proven talent and hardware. That's the reason why they mean something. There is a reason why you count all-star games, MVPs, championships, etc. I think that I might be wrong, and I might be very wrong, but I think that even a generational rookie is not what's going to make a team win a championship. I think that
I mean, did Caitlin Clark get Indiana through the first round?
no.
Nope.
The answer
Nope.
is no.
Nope.
Who's
the last? Okay, this is a question. This is a real question because I can think of 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, and ironically, about half of them have ties to Seattle. Over, maybe. Anyway, who is the last rookie in the WNBA to come onto a team and immediately make that team or be the reason that team made it to a WNBA championship? I can say Maya Moore.
I was thinking Maya Moore, Candace Parker.
Candace
because
Parker,
the
well,
Minnesota.
No, not in her rookie year. Let's not. No.
Oh, so you're talking about, okay, I see it. Yeah.
Yes.
I think Maya Moore is the only one because you look at the WNBA rankings the year before Maya Moore was drafted, and then you see the year she was drafted, and Minnesota almost immediately won a championship. Like, Maya Moore was the rookie of the rookies, and I think she's the player who made the most impact in a team's long-term success because she brought 4 titles to the Minnesota Lynx. I hate that we didn't get more Maya Moore basketball, but power to her,
Okay, Maya Moore is one. Who's another? Seattle.
Brianna Stewart.
Not Stewie, because Stewie didn't win a championship in her rookie year. She won in her 3rd year.
16, 17, 18. Yeah. I mean, who are you thinking?
What year did the Seattle Storm win their first championship?
2008.
No.
I was thinking Sue Bird.
04.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I'm sorry, that's also not right because she's
that's what I was thinking. She's 02. That's why I was like,
that's also not right. And Lauren Jackson is also not right. So you see, even
Lauren Jackson is 01.
Not Asia Wilson. So it's literally Maya Moore. See, I even got some of my dates confused because I thought it was Sue Bird, but no, Sue Bird is 02. I should have known that because that 02 team.
Yeah, she's 02.
That 02 UConn team is like one of my favorite teams ever.
Yeah, I think Maya Moore is the only one. I mean, you can't count the Houston Comets because everyone was a rookie that year.
Right, and this is the point though, Tulip. The ability for a rookie to come into the WNBA and make a lottery team a championship team in their first season is
Exactly.
almost unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost unheard of.
Yep. You have to be like, I think Maya Moore played such a short for such a short time, and in a time when the WNBA wasn't like so popular, that they
It was
don't really
the
they
early
don't really give her the props for the amazing, my god, what she did to that Minnesota team. We had jokes in my WNBA Brazil group from back then. We called the Minnesota Lynx like the kitty cats because they were all like was gatinho. And then, like, from one year to the other, like, they were a powerhouse. And
Mhm.
it continues up to today. It started with Maya Moore, and that's
That's facts on facts. Facts on facts. Right. Right. Listen, Minnesota could not get it together with Simone Augustus, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson, and
yeah.
then later they got Sylvia Fowle. So, but that rounded out their next championship because, again, I joke about this, but it's also true. But I also like to troll Minnesota Lynx fans by saying, y'all
Yeah.
should have known you weren't going to win the title last year. Y'all should have known.
Yeah, I mean,
Minnesota
that was
only wins
obvious.
titles in odd years. Y'all didn't remember that from the Maya Moore dynasty? Every
Yeah.
other year, Minnesota
Mhm.
only wins in odd years.
Yeah, 11, 13, 15, 17. Wow.
Trying to tell you. Trying to tell you.
Man, now I'm
Now,
having like
I know.
I need
Also,
Maya
I
Moore
put this
to
on
come
social
back.
media, and I believe it to be true. Maya Moore is the Lauren Cheney Holiday of the WNBA.
I don't know who that is.
You should look her up. Lauren Cheney, married name Holiday, one of the best soccer
Okay.
players.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Lauren Cheney retired on her own terms, and I think that's beautiful, and I love it, and I sobbed. I was at that game, and I had to work very hard to control my emotions. I'm pretty sure I ran into a bathroom or something because you
Mm.
just see a talent so pure, and I mean that in the truest
Aw.
sense of the word, pure. I'm not saying Lauren Holiday ain't cursed nobody out, and if she did, they probably deserved it. All I'm saying is that's probably the closest to being touched by an angel on the football field anyone will ever know, ever. Like, just a good human. She's married to Drew Holiday,
Yeah.
who plays basketball. They went to school together, and like just a great
Yeah.
human. Those
Yeah.
Kansas City teams were fantastic. Never got the credit that she deserved. Never asked for the spotlight, even though she earned it. And
Mhm.
retired well before, in my estimation, her prime.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh
Ever.
yeah.
Favorite ever. Ever. Like, there are some other
Wow.
players that their game is like nasty, you know what I'm saying? But as far as I'm concerned, no one touches Lauren Cheney. Chain.
I didn't know about her.
Chain. Look it up. Lauren Cheney Holiday
I
is
did, and
great. If
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
yeah, I'm telling you, and this is not hyperbole. If you know USA Soccer and you know the WNBA, there is no doubt that Maya Moore and Lauren Cheney Holiday parallel paths.
Oh,
They came just before the burst,
yeah.
but were absolutely the driver for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we did a lot. I feel like we accomplished a lot tonight.
We did. We did. We did.
Yes, they have
I sent two posts in our Slack channel. Erica can give us the proper links
Yes,
for
I'll do
whoever
that.
wants to join.
I'm gonna do
There is one of Lee Yuru speaking about Noel Queen's support to players and how her experience has been with the Storm in comparison with other teams. And then there's one that I just saw that that was just for fun and giggles. Someone made the all waved team.
Oh no, not the all waved team.
And they said, how many games would the all waved team win in the WNBA? People are so funny.
Wow. Okay, but you see that, like you.
People are so funny. I love that the WNBA has rich. Yeah, so there's Deja Kelly, Haley Jones, Serena Sandell, Cheyenne Sellers, Letitia. I'm here. Emma Hire. How do you say her last name?
Wait, let me look.
Letitia. I'm here.
I'm actually not 100% sure. So.
Yeah, Kaylee Chen, Queen Agbo, Jaylene Brown, Harmony Turner, Jessica Carter. I mean, they will beat the Valkyries any day, I think.
You think? I'm not so sure.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Queen, Queen's that's a tough one.
Haley Jones and
I think people are underestimating the Valkyries, not by a lot.
Yeah.
But by a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Who do you have less, like the Valkyries or Washington, yeah. Or Connecticut.
I think it's Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Washington.
Yeah.
They're expansion struggling. Team
vibes. When I saw the all waved team, I was like, oh my God.
This is an interesting question. I've never really been super high on Mercedes Russell's game.
No.
No.
She has moments.
True. Brushes of brilliance, as I like to say.
Yeah, she has like moments when like she wants to shine. She does. Mm-hmm. But she could have done much more the Seattle Storm, and she did not. Yeah.
But still got a ring.
And she was on the messy side of things, so that kind of like also rubs me the wrong way. But I hope she's happy in LA and that she can have a breakout season. Yeah, she deserves it. Yeah.
LA has good tacos, y'all. You know who else has surprisingly good tacos? Chicago.
Oh.
I had some of the best tacos ever in my life.
You know where they have one of the best tacos that I had was at Rough and Tumble. There, they have the Noel Queen fish tacos.
Those were good. Oh, and I forgot. Someone asked us if we're gonna do another live show. Who was it?
I want to.
Who was it? Eagles or Donovan? I think Donovan asked. I'm sorry, Donovan, if you're still here. I did see the comment and I forgot to get back to it. I forget. I think it was Donovan. Oh, no, sorry, JC. Will you be doing another event at Rough and Tumble? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We got to get through. It probably won't be before All-Star, but stay tuned. I'm sorry, JC, if you're still there. I did see this comment earlier and I meant to get back to it, but I forgot. Stay tuned. You know, we love Rough and Tumble, the Noe Quinn fish tacos.
I love.
Is that what you got when we were there? What did I get? I got the
nachos. Their nachos are so
the nachos are good.
Yeah. They also have the bird. The bird's also really good. It's fried chicken sandwich. It's really good. I really like it.
I'm gonna look it up because I made a joke and I can't remember, but it was based on the Rough and Tumble.
Oh yeah. Hold on. I really like their food. I don't know why they took that off the menu, but they had steak frites.
Oh,
that was the best steak frite I've ever had my whole life. But they took it off the menu.
No.
And, I was devastated.
No. The bird, fried
The
chicken.
bird is
That's
good.
what
They're
is
gonna
the
have to change some names because they also
yeah,
had
golden mamba
Mers
nachos.
Lade. They have like for the Mercy. I never had their skillet cookie. So but they like Rough and Tumble has really good food. Like
They really do. The
really good
gold
food.
mamba no
Oh, I think I'm gonna go there after. It's 4 minutes from my house. Like
dang, I'm looking at the menu right now. Noe's fish tacos,
oh, the fish
fish
tacos are
lock
some
and
of the
chips.
best.
That's
I've had.
hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. It was something. It might have been the goat that I had, and then
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
I think I got the goat, and then I was like, "What do you call a goat with no rings?"
No, what do you call a half goat? I remember that.
Is that
What do
what
you
it
call a
is?
half?
Half
Yeah, you
goat?
said. What
Oh,
do you
right,
call a
'cause
half
I've had
goat?
half of my sandwich. That makes more sense. What do you
Yeah.
call a half goat? Kayla Clark. Baby goat.
Baby goat. Yeah,
Baby goat.
I remember that. Yeah. Chilaquiles. Oh, they have chilaquiles.
Yeah, the menu looks good. So stay tuned.
Oh,
We definitely want
yeah.
you call it a Charles Barkley. You could call it a Charles Barkley. You could call it a
Becky
uh
Hammond.
that was uncalled for. That was uncalled for.
Listen,
You could
that's
call
my
it
biggest. Like, she was my goat growing up, and
I'm
the San
telling
Antonio
you,
Superstars never got a
New York
ring. Though
New York did not respect her game, and then she went on to be a 6-time All-Star in San Antonio. Not that I feel any kind of way about it or anything, but it's fine. It's fine. A
lucky
goat with
me.
no rings, Charles Barkley. Tina Charles.
True. Mhm.
People hate on her, but like she's gonna be one of the greatest to ever play in the WNBA. Like,
Yeah.
period. You could
It's
call
like
it a Reggie Miller.
a
Goat
college goat with no ring, with no
Goats play
championship. Like
defense. Skylar Diggins. Ooh.
Skylar. Oh, she's gonna save this and print on a shirt.
Posterize it. Yep.
Yeah.
Posterize it. For the record, we did repeat what was in the comments, Sky. Don't come at me.
Yes. Please, I'm gonna be there every game.
Listen, I saw you post this before, Tulip. Don't get me started. Listen, I have a love-hate relationship with Tina Charles. You want to talk about someone coming at media? Tina came at me. She tried. Anyway.
I mean, who hasn't she tried?
That's true. It was
Yeah.
me, Sky. But Tina was like, come for me in London.
Yeah.
I bet you won't.
I want all that smoke.
Sky, I wouldn't put it past. She's gonna start shaking that leg. She's gonna start shaking that leg, Tulip, and then before you know it, exactly, the leg is gonna shake. Then the finger's gonna twirl, and before you know it, she's gonna be at your doorstep, at your flat.
She's gonna take the
She's gonna show
tube.
up at the flat, talking about run that back. Say it again. Say it again.
She's gonna land at Heathrow. Take the tube.
She's gonna hop on.
Take a double decker and
what is it? The tube. The tube.
The tube. The tube. Mind the gap and.
Tulip said, "I want all this smoke."
Okay, that was a good one.
Oh man! All right. On that note, it is definitely time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
But thank y'all for rocking with us. Stay tuned. We definitely have some things planned, or we have concepts of a plan. We have concepts of a plan. Not y'all believe me.
Listen, you're talking to a New Yorker and a Latina. Like,
yes. A New York Latina and a Latina.
Yeah.
So you ain't stand a chance.
Yeah.
All we know to do is to joke about our family members' insecurities. That's what we do.
And I do know that British can also take a joke.
Y'all are hilarious. Sarcasm is chef's kiss.
I feel like Americans are not really good at
we're very
like Pale Americans, like they are not really good at jokes.
Dangerous. That's one of my favorite memes to use from Pocahontas is when he's like, these white men are dangerous. No.
Oh man. Oh my God. See, you have it, Tulip. You have it.
I'm done. I'm done.
Done.
On that note,
Oh man,
gotta
when
go.
I saw the Italians are really good too. They made like some very dark jokes about when the Pope was elected or
Oh my
chosen. I
God.
don't know how you call it. They
I
made
don't
some
know.
jokes that here in the U.S.
Pulled
you
from the
would be
stone or something,
fired.
right?
You would be
Oh
fired
my
from
God.
your job. Yeah,
Woke up and chose violence. Woke up or
didn't
never
even go
went
to
to sleep.
bed.
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, never went to sleep. All right, everyone. Have
All
a great
right.
night. We will catch you next week, Wednesday. Make sure you follow. I also put in the chat. I'll toss it again in here, but this is the link if you want to join our Slack channel where we have no filter whatsoever. Go ahead and do that. All right, for Roberta Rodrigues, I am Erica L. Ayala. This has been Tempestade Talk, and
Yeah.
we have plenty to talk about. First 5 games
Yeah.
for this team, going to be very interesting. Definitely going to set the tone, a good barometer for this Seattle Storm team. But all right, good night, everyone. We'll catch you next time.